Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. I always don't have the audio sorted out. Give me a moment. Alright, I hope the audio is okay. Alright, I understand I am a little bit late today, but that's also because for those of you who are following me on my socials, you probably know I am down from, I'm just basically not feeling that well. I have COVID right now, so hopefully this stream is gonna go okay. if um if I have to mute the mic to cough, I hope you guys understand. Like so. And yeah. But thank you guys for coming early. I hope this stream would still be useful. I do have quite a bit of content planned for this stream. So let's see what we can cover, and yeah, hopefully just share a little bit more about what I plan to do with my team. There's so many things happening in FPL now. A lot of double game weeks have been confirmed. Single game weeks have been confirmed. Blank game weeks have been confirmed. And there are some potential doubles as well. Some mini doubles in 26, 27, which we'll talk a bit about as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do today. Thank you guys for coming down early. See some of you guys in the chat. VJ, Aria is a member. Thank you guys for coming down early. James, GV. All right. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the comments. Yeah, I'm just pretty much resting up right now, so I hope to get well soon. Right, hopefully the content will be back next week. Right. So, I will start to cover some of the questions. I think we'll start off just with what I plan to do with my team, right? So currently, this is the team. This is definitely not my final team. So let me just bring you guys to the transfer page. So there's a couple of things that are in my mind right now. And firstly, it is that blank game week in game week 25. So I think for most of us at this point in time, we also need to consider already how many blank game week players we have, because blank game week 25 is definitely not a game week that you want to use your free hit, and that's because later on there will be bigger blanks, especially blank game week 28, which will be very big, and also blank game week 32, that will be very big as well. So those are the ones that you probably would want to save your free hit chip for, or at least give yourself the option, right? So from what I'm thinking, I'm probably going to save my free hit for 25, and that means that I probably will have to bench 3 players from Newcastle, Manchester United, Brentford and Brighton. So at this point in time, I don't have any Brentford and Brighton players, so it probably will be just Newcastle and Manchester United players on my bench. So currently, Trippier is probably someone that will be on my bench, Rashford as well. So it's that third spot, right? So at this point, I already have Almiron here. I have Patterson, who I can't play in blank game week 25 as well. So Patterson for Ake is something I'm considering next game week in game week 23. And for this particular game week, I'm likely to just do this. So Salah for Bruno Fernandes, I think seems straightforward enough, right? I think it seems straightforward enough. But I do have an option, right? I can actually do Mitrovic to Nanto. Right? I do have 2 free transfers. So after I've done the Bruno Fernandes move, I still have 1 free transfer at the top, you guys can see. So, and I do have a lot of money in the bank after I've downgraded Salah to Bruno Fernandes. So Mitrovic to Nanto is actually something I can do. But the reason why I'm likely not to do it, I think I'll cover it later on when we talk a little bit about the game weeks moving forward. I think doing Mitrovic to Nanto doesn't present as much upside as maybe saving the transfer and using that extra free transfer to possibly bring a Brighton player in, let's say game week 26, 27. I think that will be the move with more upside. So if I don't do that move, if I don't do Mitrovic to Nanto, I probably would have it in the back of my mind that I plan to use this free transfer to do to bring in some Brighton players in the future, right? So we'll cover the future game weeks moving forward. There's a graphic by Mikkel Topvam on Twitter. I'll share it with you guys later, but I think it gives a good idea of the blanks and doubles moving forward. And we can just plan our transfers with those in mind. Right, his graphic actually does include the Brighton potential double as well, so it'll be quite useful. Right, let's get to some of the questions in the chat first. I'll just start from the start. Yeah, Sandra says, please help, which two to play, Gabriel, Botman, or De Bruyne. I like Botman because I think you definitely play Gabriel because of his goal threat. I think Gabriel is a must. De Bruyne, I think, for those of you in the chat, even before you guys ask, I've received some questions on social media as well. Is De Bruyne to Bruno and then Bruno back to De Bruyne? Would I do it? I would do it. This is a move that I would do, and would I take a hit for it for this game week? I would take a hit for it because I think there is enough upside. So for those of you who with this question in mind, right, before you guys ask, I think yeah, that is pretty much where I stand in terms of that. Right. Triple captain. You guys want to talk about triple captain? All right. I do have a segment on triple captain. Right, we'll cover that later on very quickly after we touch on the injuries. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything in the chat. Thank you guys for the well wishes as well. Right, yeah, triple captain. What to do with Mount, Kulu, and Almiron? All right, let's quickly cover the injuries first. Okay, so for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, I'm pretty much posting a lot more on Instagram. Some useful stuff to help you guys. So from the latest press conferences that we've had, game week 22, right? These are the players that are fit, doubtful, or ruled out. Right. So Rodrigo, as we know, there were a lot of rumors circulating about whether he's fit or not. Right. So he is ruled out. He's out for about 6 to 8 weeks. So that's a good maybe 2 months. So he's out of the options for Leeds players. It could mean better minutes for the existing attackers that we want to go for. But in that sense, I would say that Rodrigo is one of the key players when it comes to attack. So him being out maybe might not be the best thing for Leeds. John Stones as well, he's out with a hamstring injury. Pep said about 3 to 4 weeks. So in terms of Man City defenders, I think the one that we should be considering now, or at least the one that I would be considering, is Ake. Right? I think his minutes are a little bit more secure after Cancelo has left. But one of the comments that Pep said was that there are a couple of players that can play left back. He said Laporte can play left back. He said Sergio Gomez can play left back, and also Rico Lewis can also play left back. But definitely in terms of consistency and how often I think he'd play the players at left back, I think definitely Ake is the one, first choice at least. So I would say that if I was to buy a City defender, I would go for Ake. Next up, there's Zaha, who's out as well, also a hamstring injury. Anderson, Konate, McTominay, Eriksen, Smith Rowe, and Colwill. Now the Eriksen one I think is interesting because how would it impact Manchester United's performances moving forward? Right, so my early thoughts is that Eriksen is one of the important players in terms of midfield control for Manchester United. So missing Eriksen I think isn't the best thing, but I would assume that Fred comes in. And in that sense, Fred plus Casemiro could give Bruno a lot more license to roam up front, right? So that could actually help Bruno's returns, right? Making him a little closer to goal, closer to the attack, closer to Rashford, and yeah, potentially we can see an uptick there for Bruno Fernandes. But that's my early thoughts. Doubtful, there's Ferguson, Partey, Isak, Dalot, and Solanke. And for the players past fit, Foden is back, right? So he's in contention as well with Richarlison, Luka Dean, Lucas Moura, Anthony Martial, and Sancho. Now, Martial, I feel, is a player that you don't buy and you don't sell. If you have him, you don't sell him. He has the double in game week 22, the game week that's coming up. But I wouldn't go so far as to buy him. I still feel like he's first choice ahead of Weghorst, but I wouldn't go so far as to buy him. I just keep him if I had him. Right, for the rest of the players, McGinn, Struijk, and also Sabitzer and McKennie. Now, I think if we do see Sabitzer feature alongside Casemiro, I think that would be very interesting. Like that would be a good watch. I am potentially thinking about whether we should do because I'm having COVID right now, I am thinking whether we should do a watch along since I'm stuck in my room anyways. I was thinking whether we should do a watch along for the Manchester United and Crystal Palace game since there's a lot of games going on at that point in time as well. Let me know if you guys are interested or you would like to join. Just something that I'm thinking about. But yeah, so these are the injury updates. Let me just get to some of the questions that you guys have. Manchester United defender. I have to bring in somebody for Stones. Hearing that Luke Shaw might get arrested on Twitter. I would say Luke Shaw is still the one I would go for. I think there's case to go for Varane. But definitely I would go for Luke Shaw. I think I would go for Luke Shaw. Should I sell Kane and use the money to upgrade Mount to Bruno? I think selling Kane isn't as attractive to me as selling Kevin De Bruyne for Bruno Fernandes. But if your only way to get Bruno is to sell Kane, then I would do it. I've seen a couple of teams who have done that. I don't dislike it, but Kane is Kane, right? Kane is Kane. James says, thanks for the review of my wildcard. I sent you early in the week. Yeah, no problems at all. Tony out and Ketia in for a -4. I think you could delay that move one game week. Right, Daniel? I think you could delay a move there. FPL Jelly says, good afternoon. Afternoon to you as well. I hope you're feeling better. I got my coconut water and just some of the remedies that I think just in general people have been using to deal with COVID. So hopefully I get better soon. At this point in time, I still feel okay. So yeah, it's looking alright. GB says, sure. Oh, you guys are keen on that as well, the watch along. Okay, I might do it tomorrow. I'll think about it. I'll see how I feel, but I intend to give it a go. Anyways, I will be stuck in my room, so I intend to give it a go. Hopefully it'll be an interesting one. When is the triple captain segment? In a little bit after I cover the blanks and doubles moving forward. Start Ben White or Botman? This is a question as well. I would say both defenses are really good. Right, both defenses are really good. So it's really a toss-up if you ask me. Everton have a new manager. West Ham, they just won their recent game. So I think they could be on the bounce, right? So it's really 50-50. I think if you go with the odds, clean sheet odds-wise, Newcastle have 37% chance of keeping a clean sheet against West Ham, and Arsenal have a 41% chance of keeping a clean sheet against Everton, right? So I guess if you want to go in terms of odds, I would say maybe Ben White. Yeah. KDB to Bruno for me. Question is whether to go straight back next week or leave Bruno and swap Almiron. So that's the thing. I think similar for my team as well. I intend to keep Bruno. I think I like the next few fixtures for Manchester United. They play Leeds again. And then if I'm not wrong, let me get the... Yeah, they play Leeds again and then they have Leicester at home. So I do like their fixtures. I do like it. And I think keeping Bruno, when people would have to do Bruno back to Kevin De Bruyne in order to get triple city with De Bruyne, I think keeping Bruno could be a good option. Yeah. All right. I'll quickly move on to, because I know you guys want to talk a little bit about triple captaincy, right? So I'll quickly talk a little bit about on or maybe I talk about chip strategy later on, right? Maybe I do the triple captaincy segment now. All right. So for those of you on a triple captaincy, right? I did a video earlier this week, basically discussing my thoughts. I don't have the chip at this point, right? So let me caveat by saying that I don't have the chip at this point. But if I had the triple captain chip still, I think I would use it on Marcus Rashford this week, right? So there's a couple of reasons why. I think it comes down to either game week 22 or 25, right? So we narrow down the scope of when we already want to use it. The future double game weeks, game week 29, 34, 37, all of these future double game weeks would be big double game weeks that you want to use other chips in. Now this will be a different case if you've already used your bench boost, your second wild card, and your free hit already. If you've already used either of these three chips, then you do have space essentially for one of those double game weeks being a triple captain week, right? So it's really dependent on how many chips you have left, but I'm assuming that for most of you guys, you have all your chips left, and on top of that, you will have your triple captain as well, right? And because you don't want your triple captain to block the other game weeks, use it in either game week 22 now or 23, right? So if we narrow it down to these two game weeks, right, it's basically Rashford in game week 22. I wouldn't go with Bruno, right? But I've just put Bruno here for basically comparison sake, right? So you guys know, if you want to go differential, right, there's an option. But I wouldn't go for Bruno. I'll go for Rashford in 22 or Haaland in 23. So the numbers wise, right, Haaland's numbers are really good, right? These numbers are from game week 17 to game week 21, right? And the odds are basically from fplreview.com as well, right? So in essence, the goal scoring statistic wise, right, Haaland still outshines Rashford a lot, right? And in terms of big chances, Haaland is 2.29, right? So in general, we know Man City, how they play. They're gonna create loads of chances for Haaland. So in general, what I think is that it's pretty close, right? Rashford and Haaland, they have different there's different reasons why you would want to go for either of them, right? There's a couple of things surrounding Rashford. So home fixtures, Crystal Palace and Leeds, those are pretty easy fixtures as well. Then you add the fact that he's a midfielder, so he gets an extra point for a clean sheet, which they are likely to keep 2 clean sheets as well, right? So already something that plays into your mind. And then the form that he's in, right, is incredible, right? The form that he's in is simply incredible. So he can just make a goal out of nothing. If you guys watched the Arsenal game as well, the goal against Arsenal from Rashford, that was, I think, the peak that I've seen Marcus Rashford perform, right? So I really am keen, right, I would say I lean 55-45, right, on Rashford instead of Haaland in 23, if I had the chip right now. And basically in terms of assists as well, right, there is the potential for Rashford to get assists. Now, something interesting as well is how the Manchester United team will react to Eriksen being gone, right? And on top of that, how Martial coming back into the team helps Rashford's cause as well. I think in general, Rashford plays better when Martial is on the pitch. So because of that, I think the appeal for Rashford is a little bit better as well, right? So if you're just looking at the numbers alone, projected points wise, Rashford is actually projected to score more points than Haaland in 22 than Haaland in 23, right? So this is pretty much my thoughts in terms of the numbers, right? But there's a lot of other surrounding reasons why I think this decision may not be as straightforward, right? So let me just get to some of the things you guys are saying in the chat as well. FPL Jelly says triple captain Rashi for me this week. Yeah, I think if I had the chip, I would do that. Right, so let's move on to the next one. So basically, there are surrounding reasons as to why it may not be so straightforward. So we know already that against Nottingham Forest on the 31st of January, which is their last game, Rashford had about, I think he only came on in the 61st minute, so maybe 30 minutes of game time for him, so that was okay. 3 days of rest, and then he plays Crystal Palace at home, right? But the turnaround is something that is pretty tight for these two games, right? So Crystal Palace at home, 2 days later they play Leeds at home. For Haaland is the same as well, but the difference is that he has a good 6 days of rest from Tottenham away all the way till Aston Villa at home, right? So if I were to predict the minutes, I would say Haaland would probably play 90 minutes for the Arsenal game, right? So in that sense, I think we could see maybe 60 to 70 minutes for the Aston Villa game for Haaland. I mean, obviously, all this is speculation. But there's also a case that we see the Manchester United schedule, right, is really tight, right? Crystal Palace at home, 2 days later, Leeds at home, 3 days later, Leeds away, 2 days later, they play Barcelona away as well, right? So it's a tight schedule, but both games being at home for Manchester United could help Marcus Rashford's cause. So, make of that what you will, but I think if I were to predict Marcus Rashford's minutes, I would say that if they are winning Crystal Palace maybe 2-0, I think we could see Rashford coming off early against Palace. I think we could see that, right? If I do the watch along, right, we can react to that, but I think we could see Rashford coming off early if United are hit, maybe by 2 or 3 goals, right? And then he'll probably play the Leeds at home one. I think we see him feature in both, but the minutes is just a concern, right? A little bit of a concern there. In terms of the strength of the opponents wise, you guys can see already that definitely fixtures wise, Manchester United have the better fixtures in 22 compared to Haaland in 23, right? So Crystal Palace, their expected goals conceded is 1.6, right? And as for Leeds, it's 2.1, right? Basically looking at the away form, right? Because both teams will be playing away to Manchester United. So 2.1 expected goals conceded for Leeds is actually the worst in the league. So you would actually hope that Rashford plays against Leeds, because that's the one I think he could really haul. But as for Erling Haaland, right? Yeah, Aston Villa have about 1.7 expected goals conceded per 90. All right, fair enough. But for Arsenal, it's 0.8, right? They are playing Arsenal away from home. And at Emirates, Arsenal are really strong, right? 0.8. So I think that is also something that really turns me away from Haaland triple captaincy in game week 23 as well. So hopefully, this is pretty much a short breakdown, right? Kind of helps you guys. I would say that banking a lot on the Aston Villa game, right, for Haaland seems a little bit risky as well. And who's to say that he doesn't get injured against Tottenham away, right? So I think at this point I would just go for Rashford triple captaincy. That's pretty much what I do. Do you think Tomiyasu will start instead of White? I still think White is first choice. I still think Ben White is first choice. Kevin De Bruyne to Bruno for a -4. Yeah, I already said I think I would do this. Right, Man City has to beat Arsenal, and so the appeal for Haaland will be there. Fair enough. Right, but Arsenal at home are so strong. Right, Start Andreas or Cucurella or Almiron. I would start Almiron. Chilwell and James are back, by the way. Chilwell and James are back. Ashmit says, main concern for this game week is should I bring in Nonto for a -4? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't bring in Nonto for a -4. Yep. The reason why I'm considering it for my team is because I can do it for free. If it was for a -4, I don't think I would do it. Yeah, I don't think I would do it. Right, so in terms of chip strategy, right, for those of you who like to plan forward, right, because essentially we do have to look forward into the future, and it's actually one of the reasons why I'm not thinking of using the second transfer, rolling the second transfer, so that there's a little bit more upside later on. So, a couple of things here. you probably only can see from game week 24. Yeah, you can only see from game week 24, but basically 22 and 23 you already know the confirmed doubles. So this graphic is by Mikkel Tokvam on Twitter, right? MIKKEL TOKVAM, right? So he basically does this graphic, right, based on Ben Krellin's statements to basically let us know the potential of blanks and doubles moving forward, right? So as you guys can see, game week 25 is pretty much confirmed, right? Blank game weeks for Newcastle, United, Brighton, and Brentford, right? So the numbers are already there, and the numbers essentially mean one means that you have a fixture, right? Two means you have two fixtures, and there will be a double. 1 point something would mean that you have 1 point, let's say 1.5, it means that you have a 50% chance of 2 games in that week, right? So I think looking from game week 24 onwards, right, game week 24 is going to be a single game week, 25 is a blank, 26 and 27 is where there's a potential double game week for Brighton and a potential double game week for their opponents as well, right? So that would be either Bournemouth or Crystal Palace if we're looking at the numbers here, right? Bournemouth 1.15, Crystal Palace 1.14. So what that basically means, right, is you add that to Brighton's existing game week 26 fixture, let's say. I mean, it could be game week 26 or 27, right? So let's take a look at both of their fixtures. In game week 26, they play West Ham at home. Pretty okay. Game week 27, they play Leeds away. So essentially, when they double, right, if they do, right, in 26 or 27, they have a 41% chance, if you guys are seeing. Alright, you guys can't see the team names. Hold on. Let me try to align the team names. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. That's pretty tricky, yeah? .14. Wow, this is tricky. Let me see how I can align this. Alright, but basically, I'll just explain to you the which numbers, what the numbers mean for the teams. Right, so in game week 26 and 27, you can see two 1.41s there, and those are for Brighton. Right, in game week 26 and 27, you can see 1.14 and 1.14, and that is for Crystal Palace. And the 1.15 is for Bournemouth. So essentially, that game week 26 and 27 will be a very decent double game week for Brighton. And because of that, I think there's enough upside that control minus. Nah, it doesn't help. So you're saying a control minus would help? Didn't help. Right, so yeah, so basically, that's the reason why I'm saving my transfer there. Game week 28, right, will be a very big blank game week, as you guys can see. But it is possible to navigate that blank game week with free transfers, right? So at this point, there's a couple of things, and then we have the double in 29, the double in 34, and the double in 37. So couple of things that I'm thinking about. I think game week 34 will be the biggest double game week. So because game week 34 will be the biggest double game week, what I intend to do is to bench boost there, right? So that's pretty much provisionally where I'm going to bench boost game week 34. Triple captain, I've already used it, right? So that leaves me with my wild card and my free hit. So I think I will plan my wild card, right, first before deciding when I want a free hit. So there's basically two windows. Game week 29 is one of the windows I see we can use the wild card. Game week 33 is the other one to set up for your game week 34 bench boost. So ideally, right, I would want to wait until game week 33. But what I'm thinking is whether when the fixtures come out, right, whether I can wildcard in 29 instead, free hit in game week 32, right, and basically just keep my team the same in 33 and 34, and set myself up for the double. Right, so obviously there's a little bit more risk wildcarding further away from the double game week that I want to bench boost in. But that being said, I think it could we could be forced to wildcard in 29 if the fixtures fall into place, right? If it falls into a way that we dead end our teams into 28 because of the big blank there, and then come 29 we have to navigate that. I think we may have to use the wildcard there. So currently that's what I'm thinking in terms of chip strategy, right? Very provisional plan, but I think this is basically what I'm thinking about right now, right? Free hit wise, I'm not opposed to using it in a blank game week, but 32 seems like it's going to be a really big blank game week where majority of the teams won't play, right? So in that case, I think there's a possibility that it may not even be worth free hitting in game week 32, right? So when the fixtures come out, right, we can have a bigger look at it, but I thought we should mention it a little bit in terms of how it will affect our transfers this week, right? So because of that potential 26 and 27 double for Brighton, I will roll the second transfer, right? So at this point I haven't made any transfers yet, but what I intend to do is just as you guys can see on the screen, right? Salah to Bruno Fernandes, and then that's pretty much it, right? That's pretty much what I intend to do. Right. Let's get to some of your questions. Samir says, thanks bro, get well soon. Thank you very much. Double Manchester United attackers or defenders for this double game week. Ideally I would go for double Manchester United attackers. But if you have no way of getting to Bruno without, destroying your team structure a little bit, I think double United defense is alright. I think double United defense is alright. Leo says, I have 2 free transfers this week. I did Almiron to Odegaard, Luka Dean to White. Wonder if I should have saved the free transfer for Kevin De Bruyne to Bruno. I would do Kevin De Bruyne to Bruno for a hit though. So at this point, like even if you haven't done it, I think I would still do it. There's enough upside, I feel. Vitality says, Kepa or Sanchez in goal this week. That's a good one. I think Sanchez. I would be tempted to give Sanchez a go. Triple captain Bruno. I wouldn't triple captain Bruno. I would triple captain Rashford if I had the chip. All right. Who's on penalties for United? Currently no one knows. That's the truth. Like if anyone tells you that they know, they don't. Right? No one knows who's on penalties, but it is. There's a clip going around, right, where Bruno Fernandes took the ball and then Rashford asked to take the penalty instead, possibly because of that record that he was chasing. And yeah, so I think just based off of that clip, it could look like Bruno is the one on pens, right? So, I would say it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Almiron stays in the team. At this point in time, what I'm considering is Bruno Fernandes in for Salah. Next game week would be Almiron for Mahrez. So provisionally, that's what I intend to do. If I do decide that Kevin De Bruyne is the one that I want to go for, then I do have 2 free transfers. I can play around with it. I can downgrade Mitrovic next week as well, right? So I will have a bit of a problem next week if you guys see, right? I have Odegaard, Martinelli, for Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Almiron will become Mahrez. So that's a really strong 5 midfield. And then up front, I have Mitrovic, Haaland, and Kane. So I will have a benching headache next week. That's the truth. Mitrovic plays Nottingham Forest away as well, at home as well. So it's a good fixture for him, but I may have to bench him, right? Because Martinelli and Odegaard have double game weeks. Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, I basically want them for the second Leeds game. And Mahrez doubles as well. Kane, Haaland doubles, right? And then Kane plays Leicester away next week. Not a difficult fixture. And then Mitrovic has Nottingham Forest at home. I will have an attacking benching headache next week. I already foresee that. We'll deal with that next week. Who should I replace Mount with amongst Arsenal midfielders? Odegaard is the one that I would really want. Saka, he's on pens. But in terms of numbers for a midfielder, Odegaard's one is the best for midfielders, followed by Saka and then Martinelli. In terms of the attacking numbers for forwards, then definitely Nketiah is actually the one that trumps all of them, right? But because you're talking about a midfield position, I think I would go for Odegaard. Tempted to play triple captain on Bruno over Rashford. The guy loves a haul against Leeds. Well, I would say it's definitely a punt, right? It's definitely a punt. If you go Bruno Fernandes, what are you expecting to get? You see, the past few games that he's gotten goals, if you see the right, I'll pull it up right now. So if you see the big chances stat for Bruno, it's actually 0.17. So I know he's gotten a couple of goals recently, but the big chances aren't really there for him. His XG as well is pretty low. So what it means that he's been scoring from, I guess, chances that aren't really that good. So what are we hoping for when we're getting Bruno as triple captain? You're hoping for a penalty probably, or an assist, right? His assist statistics are the best out of Rashford and Haaland. So I guess you could go for that. But I would definitely think that Rashford has the higher upside, right? So that's where I'm at right now. Havertz to be in or I sub him. I think you can keep him, right? But I think because Havertz is a little expensive, he could be your route to Nketiah, right? And if that's the case, then yeah, I would definitely do Havertz out for Nketiah, right? So that's where I stand. Sean says, "Hi Leon, would you transfer Mount out for Odegaard or transfer Mbuemo out for Nketiah?" So it's either I play Mount or Mbuemo. That's interesting. That is interesting. Brentford play Southampton at home. Chelsea play Fulham at home. I'd actually favor Brentford a little bit more. I favor Brentford a little bit more, but you know, Chelsea has just made, I don't know, 10,000 signings. I am a Chelsea fan as well. I know how many signings we've had, right? So I have no idea if Mount is still gonna be in the team. In terms of the structure of Chelsea's play, right? Because I support them and I watch them a lot, I think Mount is integral, right? But with the number of signings, I can't even guarantee who's gonna start the game. So, you know, what I think is I play Mbuemo instead. But a good part of going for Mbuemo is that I have Odegaard as well, right? So long term, I would want Odegaard instead of Nketiah because Jesus will come back. So thinking about it, if you go for Nketiah, Odegaard now, you keep him long term, right? As opposed to Nketiah. But definitely Nketiah has the higher upside in terms of numbers, right? His numbers are really good. So it's close, but because I rather play Mbuemo, then I would go for Odegaard. Should I save triple captains for future or use it for Rashford now? I think you use it for Rashford now, right? I explained it a couple of times just now. I think the later game weeks you would use other chips, right? So Mega says, do I play Sorare? Yeah, I do play Sorare. If you guys want to join my league or create account, etc., you can just click the links in the description. I'm not sure if I put it in this one, but most of my videos have a Sorare affiliate link. Right, so I'm basically partnered with them. They sponsor some of the videos, and yeah, they've just teamed up with the Premier League. So a couple of trading cards there for the Premier League as well. It's gonna be exciting. Right, so play along with me if you guys do play Sorare. Right, GV says, got your plan for next week. All right. Will you play triple captain, David? Yes, I will play triple captain if I had it. Problem is I don't. Imran says, should I keep Trossard or swap him out for Odegaard? I say you swap him out for Odegaard. I think Trossard shares minutes with Martinelli. Leo says, just discovered Arsenal and United only received one penalty this season, which are far below the average. Yeah, I do remember that penalty actually. Right, which is, but you come to think about it, Salah hasn't even taken a penalty this whole season. Right, way below the average then. Right, Salah hasn't even taken a penalty at all. Right, just to rate my team, De Gea, Sharp and White, Mahrez, Bruno Fernandes, Martinelli, Kane, Haaland, Ferguson. Yeah, I think it's fair enough. That's a fair enough team. Lacking a little bit of alright, yeah, you have De Gea. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think your team is good. Ederson or Ward to start. I mean, are we even serious right now? Ward to start. No way I start Ward. Definitely Ederson. I took a cheeky punt on Brand Johnson in my so rare Prem team. Could pay off. Do you think Chelsea beat Fulham later? I would like to think so. I'll be watching the match. I would like to think so. But because we are in a transitional period, and because that's the case, the team will need some time to gel, right? Sometimes when you bring in so many good players, it's not necessary that they immediately perform. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a definite, right? But let's see. Yeah, let's see. Which keeper are you starting this game week? Right, let me just confirm my transfers and then you guys can see my team. Right, so reset. I just do Salah down to Bruno Fernandes. That's pretty much it. Make transfers. Salah out. Fernandes in. When they put the play free hit chip button here, it is so dangerous. It is really dangerous. Make sure when you're making your transfers not to click the play free hit one. Right, so confirm transfers. Right, so this is the team. Right, so if I were to start I've set my starting 11. It's probably gonna be like this. Bench Almiron, save your team. Yeah, so I start Kepa, play Luke Shaw, Trippier and Ben White. I think that's a pretty okay keeper and backline lineup. And then there's Rashford captaincy, Fernandes, Odegaard and Martinelli, and then Mitrovic, Haaland and Kane. I think I may put the vice captaincy on Bruno Fernandes. I may do that. Right, so that's pretty much how I'm going to set up. I think Mitrovic ahead of Almiron, that's where I'd go. Right, that's where I'd go for in terms of starting either one of them. Do you think Chelsea beat Fulham later? It's tough to say. I do hope that Chelsea win though, right? Definitely they have the better players, and I do support them as well. David says, if you have triple captain option, who will you captain? I'm playing a captain. Is it okay to triple captain him? It's perfectly fine to triple captain Marcus Rashford, right? I would do it if I had the chip as well. James has built a wildcard draft. We can do that later on. I really want to use my triple captain, but I have to make more than two transfers. If you're using it on Rashford, I think there's every justification to do that. Is Bruno just a 1 week punt? I intend to keep him. I mean, depending on whether Liverpool double and I have to bring Salah in again, right? I intend to keep him for quite a while, right? So I will keep Fernandes for quite a bit, ideally. David says, congratulations, you have a new subscriber. Thank you guys for tuning in as well. Right, at this point, right, if you guys are still watching, please help me to drop a like on the stream so that it can reach more people. And also subscribe as well if you haven't, right? It really, really helps the channel and I appreciate that. If you do appreciate me streaming during the while having COVID, please help me out and subscribe. It really, really means a lot. Right, so let's take a look at where we are at now in terms of yeah, okay. So think we might get Chelsea news before the deadline. Possible. I think we could get some news there, right? We'll take a look as well. Hopefully Kepa keeps a clean sheet tonight. I'm hoping for that as well, Arya. But the thing is, I have Mitrovic, so it's divided. But I think coming from a non-biased perspective, I probably will have to start Mitrovic just because he's definitely has the higher chance of getting returns ahead of Almiron, who's just dropped off like incredibly, right? Almiron has just dropped off so crazily. Do I start Edison or Kepa? That's a tough one. If I had Edison, I'd be tempted to start. I'd be tempted to bench Edison, to be honest. I'd be tempted to bench Edison. Are your next 3 transfers Patterson, Almiron, and Bruno? So my next few moves, right? I already have 1 free transfer that I'm gonna roll, right? And so going into game week 23, I will have 2 free transfers. But the thing is, even though I do have 2 free transfers, I think I only use 1. I think I probably only do Almiron to Mahrez. And then my next transfer would potentially be Patterson to Ake. Right? So that's probably what I do. Right? And it also helps me to ensure that I just have 1 player to deal with who blanks in game week 25. Right? Because I have Shaw, Rashford, Fernandes, and Trippier after I make the Almiron to Mahrez move. So once I only have those 4 players from United and Newcastle, then I just need 1 free transfer and I can just bench the other 3 of them and set my team up for blank game week 25. Right, so that's currently the thinking going on. I think I will roll the transfer as much as I can all the way till game week 26, where I can start bringing in Brighton players, because we all want Brighton players, but we can't get to them because of that blank in game week 25, right? So I don't see how we can actually fit them in this game week, right? I don't think we can fit them in this game week. Are you studying? I'm currently I'm not studying, right? I'm just mainly focusing on creating content for you guys at this point, right? Before potentially starting work in the future. In the midway point after the season, I intend to start work. So hopefully from now until then we can get the channel. The aim is 7.5k subs, but I'm not sure we can get there. If you guys are watching the stream and you haven't subscribed, please help me subscribe and potentially we can get there. All right. 2 clean sheets is a possibility with Manchester United. Do you agree? Yes, I do agree. I do agree that they could keep 2 clean sheets this week. What about holding the triple captain and playing Haaland in game week 23? Yeah, so we discussed that just now. I think I would still lean towards Rashford because of their Arsenal fixture in game week, because the Arsenal fixture that Haaland has as part of his double, right? Because of that, I would lean away from that. Ashton says, Yo Leon, confirm your transfers for the week already. What moves are you making? I've done it on stream, right? If you rewind it a little bit, you can watch me make the transfer. But basically what I did was Salah out, Bruno Fernandes in, right? And then this is how I'm gonna set up. I'm rolling the other free transfer. All right. Yeah, I've only made 1 transfer and I'm rolling the other transfer to save it for game week 26, 27 to bring Brighton players in, right? That's what I'm thinking. Right, David says I'm a Chelsea fan as well. Nice to meet you. Love from Nepal. Awesome to see a Chelsea fan in the chat. Right, Jeff, I'll get to your DM later on. By the way, if you guys are interested and you like to get your teams rated, every time after the deadline stream, right, about an hour before the deadline, I spend it on the Discord with all the members and the Patreons. So if you guys are watching and you like to support the channel and also interact with me on a daily basis, we just chat FPL every week, and I also rate all the teams there that the members submit. There's about 60 to 70 of us inside there. It's a really nice community as well. So if you guys are interested and you like to support the channel, then do become a member. And yeah, definitely we can see what we can do. Will Ake start? I think Ake's minutes are really, really good after Cancelo has left, right? So I do think, like, if I was going for a Manchester City defender, it would be Ake. Yeah. Jeff says up the Chelsea tonight. I do hope Chelsea win though. But you know what I take? I take a 3-2. As a Chelsea fan, I take a 3-2, Mitrovic 2 goals. I'll take it. Do you think Chelsea can keep a clean sheet this week? Tonight, right, Imran? Honestly speaking, I felt like we should have conceded against Crystal Palace, right? There were a couple of times when we were a little bit lucky. So I don't think our defense is as solid as it seems to be. But that said, I still fancy our chances, right? And as a Chelsea fan, I would be hoping for it. What about Mitoma now? Well, because he blanks in game 25, I wouldn't go for him now, but definitely want to bring him in moving forward. Jeff says, thinking Mitro, Trossard, James, Nonto, Bruno, and Botman. Botman blanks in game week 25, so I wouldn't bring him in now. James to Nonto is okay. Mitro to Nonto is okay. Trossard to Bruno, yeah. But I guess if you're trying to fund the moves, I wouldn't go for Botman. I would go for Mings, because Mings plays in 25 and 28, right? Then yeah, that's probably what I do. Is it mandatory to have Kevin De Bruyne for game week 23? I think I am likely not to have De Bruyne actually. Like if I just do Almiron to Mahrez, I wouldn't have De Bruyne, right? So I don't think it's essential, but I want to see how he does against Spurs if he gets a run in. Ashton says, how are you intending to triple City in game week 23? I think you're doing Almiron to Mahrez. How about a third asset? So I am okay to do without the third. I'm okay to do without the third Man City asset, right? Because I intend to have a defender from Man City, right? But I'm okay to do without that because they play Arsenal. So I think we only see one clean sheet there against Aston Villa. So I'm okay to do without Ake, and then I go for Ake in game week 24 after that. So that's what I'm thinking. Yogesh says, I have one free transfer with only Martinelli. Which other two Arsenal players should I bring in? Is it worth a -4 this week? Because I'm not confident with Mitrovic and Rico Lewis. One free transfer with only Martinelli. I think Mitrovic, you could do Mitrovic to Nketiah. I think that is probably what I do, right? Rico Lewis, I think you can hold for the time being and see how Pep lines up, right? And play your other defenders. I assume you have like Trippier and Shaw and one other defender. Jeff says, I want to see Mudryk, Enzo, and Sterling. I'm not too fond of Sterling, to be honest. I don't think he's really excelled at Chelsea, but Mudryk, I definitely want to see how he plays. Right. Is it worth having Mudryk in my wildcard team today? it is a little bit risky. It is a little bit risky, but you could make a case to go for him. I just want to see a little bit more from him and how he fits into this Chelsea team, and whether his role allows him to get returns consistently enough. Right, David says I'm holding KDB. Fair enough. Arya says I'm going for Cucurella as a differential punt. I think it's a little bit dangerous to go for Cucurella, to be honest. Ben Chilwell is back. There's also Hall, right? So I think it's a little bit risky to go for Cucurella. I would look elsewhere, to be honest. Zipoy says I still have 7 mil Cancelo in my squad. What are the best options to replace him? I think Ake. If I had Cancelo, I would do if I had Cancelo, I would bring Ake in for him. Right, that's probably what I'd do. Play Ben Mee or Almiron. I think play Ben Mee. Yeah, I'll play Ben Mee. Not really fancying Almiron's returns this week, to be honest. That's why he's on my bench, right? Right, if you guys are still here, please drop a like and also subscribe to the channel. I have Trippier and Shaw and Lewis with Doherty and Patterson. Should I bring Gabriel for -4 or play Lewis this week? Trippier and Shaw and Lewis. So you basically have those 5 defenders. I think this week you can play Trippier and Shaw. As for Lewis, Doherty, and Patterson, I think you take interesting. I don't think you take Lewis out, to be honest. I think you can keep and see whether he becomes an option. Doherty you definitely take out. So I would actually say Doherty for Gabriel. I would do that. And definitely for a -4 as well, right? Because you don't have players, so you can think of it as a -2. You don't have enough defenders, so you can think of it as a -2 once you play Gabriel. Do you think Ferguson will start? What's the injury update? At this point, he's a little bit of a doubt, right? We'll see, but the word from De Zerbi is that it's pretty close. It's pretty close. I thought Gabriel Jesus is fit. Well, he's not exactly fit. So he's only back, I think, game week 20. He said he was optimistic and he was saying game week 25, 26, but according to Arteta, it'll probably be later. So we're expecting game week 28. Yeah, that's where it stands right now. Doherty went to Atletico Madrid. Yeah, exactly why Doherty should be taken out. I think in game Shazwan says I think in game week 25 I want either change March to Andreas or Tony to Bamford. Which one is better for game week 25? Definitely Bamford is the one with more upside, but we will have more information. I think with looking at how Leeds play in this double game week, we can have a little bit more information. Felix says, are you playing triple captain this week? If not, when and why? So I've already used my triple captain, but if I had the triple captainship, I would play it this game week, in game week 22. Right, couple of reasons that I mentioned at the start of the stream. I just favor the fixtures, and I pretty much also think that Marcus Rashford at this point in time is hard to look past. Right, I think he will haul this week. Right, so it does actually pain me not to have the triple captainship still with me. Nonto instead of Kane for a -4 hit, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take Nonto out. I wouldn't take Kane out for Nonto. Yeah, unless it enables you to get Bruno Fernandes, then that's a whole different thing. Yep, that's pretty much it. Alright, just making sure that I've covered any questions that you guys have. Right, I think we can end the stream soon. thank you for subscribing. Cup of tea. If you guys still have any questions, drop them in the chat. And yeah, I think we can end the stream very soon. Let me just make sure that I've covered pretty much everything that I want to cover during this stream. You guys says, is Bruno worth a -4? Since we have to get him out in Game Week 25, what are your thoughts about De Gea since he can be benched in Game Week 25? I think it is still worth bringing him in, right, for a -4. I think the upside is there. I think the upside is there for Bruno Fernandes. Thoughts about De Gea since he can be benched in Game Week 25? I think De Gea is fine. Yeah, I think going for De Gea is perfectly fine. Especially since you can bench him, right? But the problem is most of us have Luke Shaw already, so... James says, send you my final wildcard team on Twitter. Alright, I'll take a look at it soon. But I have to go over to Discord after the stream to have a chat with the members. So if you guys are interested, head on over to this, become a member and head on over to the Discord and we can continue chatting there. Harry says, I already have Bruno, thanks for the advice. Alright, that's perfectly fine. In that case, I don't think taking Kane out for a hit I don't think I would do that. Alvin says start Reece James. Wow, you still have Reece James. Honestly, I'm stoked for the game later, to be honest. If Reece James and Ben Chilwell plays together with Mudryk and Enzo, wow, we're gonna see an amazing Chelsea team. I mean, let's see how it goes. But I think FPL wise, starting Reece James is a little bit risky. I don't think he starts the game, to be honest. I think he comes on as a substitute if anything. Shazwan says, I plan to use triple captain in one of the big double game weeks. One of the next big double game weeks. One big double for bench boost and another big double game week. How about you? I've already used the triple captain. Alright, so thoughts on Enzo and Pedro Porro for the future? How the hell are both just 5 mil? Well, Enzo, I don't think he's an option, to be honest. He plays a little bit more of a holding role. Pedro Porro is someone I actually will consider. 5 mil, with the fixtures that Tottenham have, I think I will consider them. I do want to see how he fits in as well, right? So we will have a look soon. Right, VJ says, thanks bro, great stream. Thank you guys for tuning in, right? Always grateful to have you guys on stream. Drop a like as well. Leo, thank you very much for that. He says, great stream as well. Thank you very much. Luke says, is Martinelli to Odegaard worth it? I wouldn't do it this week. Alvin says, thanks, Chelsea fan here, excited as well. Got a split Premier League and FPL. 100%. I make my decision. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I've already started Mitrovic. I guess that kind of tells you how I play FPL. I don't want to be biased or anything, but I think just looking at it objectively, right? Mitrovic, I think, outscores Almiron this week, right? So that's where I'm at. All right. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in. For all the members in the chat and also all the Patreons as well. Right, I'll see you guys in the Discord. If you guys are watching the stream and you are interested to join the Discord, just become a member and support the channel as well. I really appreciate that. If not, you can just subscribe as well. That also really helps out. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, I will catch you guys in Game Week 23's content. Right, I think that will be pretty interesting because Arsenal and Man City double. Right, so I'll make a couple of videos seeing which are the best ones to target. Right, but for now, this is pretty much what I have. Right, thank you guys for tuning in once again. And yeah, just head on over to FPL Raptor, FPL Harry stream. I'll probably head on over later on as well. Right, so thank you guys for all the well wishes as well. I hope I get well quickly and I can make more content for you guys. Right, so that's it for today. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the Game Week 23 content very soon. All right, bye bye.